Joining me on the line is the incredibly wrong Brett Cooper. She's the host of the wildly popular comment section and also a fan of both Greta Gerwig and the Barbie film. So Brett, I have to ask you, you're sitting there wearing, for those who can't see, a pink sweatshirt and a hat reading "Make America Hot Again." And I have to ask you, you apparently liked the Barbie movie.
I enjoyed it.
And so I'm wondering if maybe you saw another movie, but you thought it was the Barbie movie.
I did not. And you know what? And I watched your 43-minute review, and you made a lot of excellent points. And I told my audience that, and I told them that you made excellent points because you were right about the plot. It was not the greatest film in terms of its construction at all. It was very, very messy. But you can't deny that it was fun. It was colorful. It was a great time.
Oh, I can.
I know. I shouldn't have said that. I know you can deny it. Do you like musicals, Ben? Do you like musicals?
I do love musicals.
We've talked about that.
In fact, I know musicals. Yes, you and I have talked about this. I love musicals. But in order for a musical to be good, it has to have more than one song, and that song has to be good. Mm-hmm. And the other song that they use is just a rip of a 1990s rock song.
That is true. I read about that.
There are two songs. There's one that's like a rip of a 1990s rock song, and then there is a large-scale musical number that is just basically rammed in, sort of like Singing in the Rain, where they're like, we have to have a musical singing sequence. We're just going to ram this in here. And so they basically do that with the Ken dolls, and all the Ken dolls are dancing around and in a song that, by the way, Brett, I challenge you right now. You have a beautiful voice.
Okay.
You liked this. Yeah. Sing me the song.
The one where
sing it to me. Sing me the song.
Ken, oh no, I am Ken. That was basically all I remember, to be fair.
Right. So it's not a good song.
But it was fun.
Because if it were a good song, you could sing it to me.
All I am saying, Ben, is that I enjoyed watching it. It was silly. It was one of those films where I went in and I was worried about it because I had seen so many people be upset about it. And I was like, ugh, okay, whatever. And you know what? They spent $150 million on advertising, and that advertising was great because you know what? I was bought in. And I truly did think that it was like an escape in a lot of ways because it felt totally different than anything I'd seen in a while. It kind of reminded me of La La Land, which was objectively much better than Barbie, but in the same way that it was very, out of this world and colorful. And I think I had just missed seeing something that was bright on screen because you go and you watch movies and TV shows these days and every single one is dark and dreary and sad and depressing. And it was just nice to sit around people who were laughing and having a good time. My producers came with me. We were laughing our asses off. The audience was so excited, and it was like, wow, this felt really, really cool. Like, there was that one moment, and I don't know if you'll get this part or not, but they were joking about, like, the anxiety-ridden Barbies, and they were talking about, like, the real-world women, and they were saying, oh, she's just lying in her bed watching the BBC adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, which is my very favorite, and objectively, it is the best adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. The entire audience filled with women burst into laughter, and everybody was like slapping their boyfriends, being like, look, it's me. Like, I watched that. And I think that that's just a very cool shared experience. Now, regardless of whether the film is going to win any awards or whether it will be acclaimed, because it really is not the most high quality film, I think it was cool to be able to sit in an audience with a bunch of women who were just enjoying laughing at this because it did speak to a lot of very feminine things, which I think is good in itself.
Okay, so a few things. One, yes, it's very colorful. The production design is the one thing about the movie that I said was good.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the production, to be fair, I did say in my review, like at the very opener, that the production design is good. But also, it's really hard to screw up a Barbie production design because literally the entire production design is Barbie.
It's true.
Right? I mean, like, it's just a big dollhouse. But put that aside for a second. There were, to me, about 5 laughs in the entire film, none provided by Will Ferrell, by the way, and none provided by Kate McKinnon, who are the two comedians in the film. And then, obviously, the politics of the film are completely screwed up. I know there's a bunch of now Straussian esoteric readings of the film where Greta Gerwig is actually secretly conservative and she's actually critiquing feminism, but no. I mean, no. Like, the speech that America Ferrera gives about 2/3 of the way through the film.
That's so cringy.
In which she explains how rough it is to be, it is the most cringy thing that has been put on screen for probably 10 years. It's unbelievably cringy. And the entire kind of notion that the patriarchy is ruling all. So first of all, I will point out at this point that you say you went with all your producers and they were laughing their asses off. So either our producers are incredibly well matched to our shows, which is quite possible, or they are all suppressing their actual feelings about the film on one side or the other. because I
Just
also
trying
went
to
with
do
my
their
producers.
jobs correctly.
And aside from Zach, who slow clapped the America Ferrera speech,
No, he did not.
everybody else, I will say, he did. He slow clapped it in the theater. It was really funny. But that was the funniest thing that happened actually in the theater was Zach slow clapping the America Ferrera terrible speech. But yes, the politics of the film are completely askew because the entire basis of the film is that the real world is a complete patriarchy, so magically patriarchal that Ken learns from it and goes back to Barbie Land, where he then applies the patriarchal standards of the real world to Barbie Land. And the only solution is that to create paradise is that men and women must be separated from one another and cannot actually have interactions. Now, I do think that Greta Gerwig can't actually hold this thesis because the thesis is unsupportable. Like the underlying message of the film, ironically enough, is actually very conservative in the sense that everyone is deeply unhappy.
Yeah.
Right? Barbie is deeply unhappy in Barbie Land. Ken is deeply unhappy in Barbie Land. Everybody is deeply unhappy. In the real world, everybody is deeply unhappy. There's no actual family in the film, right? The only family is the mom and the daughter.
Yep.
The mom is unhappy. The daughter is unhappy. And the dad is basically absent. He's there. He's in the film for literally 5 seconds. They can make a throwaway joke about him not being able to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And the final image of the film, which is Barbie going to the gynecologist because apparently she grew a vagina, which, I mean, first of all, super transphobic.
weird.
That apparently what made Barbie a woman was the growing of the vagina, right? I mean, that's literally what happens. The very end of the film, she goes to the gynecologist.
The end of the film is awful. It is terrible.
Okay, so
Yes.
the beginning of the film is terrible because if they wanted to make a true critique, here's the thing. You can't make a true critique of Barbie except if you say that what Barbie actually is a commodification of femininity and a reduction of femininity into the purely physical. And that requires you to then ask, okay, what else is a woman beside a man? And then the only answer to that would be, like getting married and having kids. And that's the one thing they can't do because at the very opener, they throw that away.
Yeah, they smashed the baby doll.
So the real question is right. So the real question is what are they saying that women are? Because at the end of the movie, Barbie goes from being it's Pinocchio. She goes from being plastic Barbie to real woman. But what is real woman? And their answer is a vagina.
Well, they don't know.
Which, by the way, again, super transphobic.
Well, I think that they don't know, and I think that was part of the plot that felt not very thought out because it was all up and down. And I absolutely agree with you that everybody was unhappy. And that was one of the more endearing parts of the film for me because, Ken found that, this patriarchy that he brought into Barbie Land or whatever was not actually fulfilling. And that was not actually, fixing anything in his life. Barbie was not happy once she had seen the real world and had, then restored matriarchy in Barbie Land. And even after that had happened, she wasn't happy. And I think the most endearing part for me, even though the ending was way too long and the part with Ruth Handler, who's the creator of Barbie, was very, very weird. That white room was very, very odd. But I did think it was endearing that even after the perfect matriarchy in Barbie Land had been restored, Barbie then chose to go to the real world, which is apparently a patriarchy. And I think to me as a viewer, I looked at that and I went, oh, she's choosing like the human experience. She's choosing to live in a world that maybe is not perfect because our world is not perfect. And I thought that was interesting. I don't know what your take is on that, but I walked away from that even though the ending would drug on for way too long.